Welcome back to Between Two Cars. Your host Kyle Orr and Matt, the smaller.
No, I ain't a
He's
walrus.
not even a walrus.
No, I'm more like a small. So let's go from a walrus to a silverback gorilla.
Silverback, huh?
Just muscle, man, muscle.
I don't know if
Silverback.
I don't know if you're a silverback
What do you mean?
status yet.
Or like a chimpanzee or something.
No, chimpanzees are actually mean. They're one of the meanest
I'm
animals.
not talking about mean. I'm talking big and bad. What? Just what? You got silverback.
This is gonna take me a minute to ponder on what you
That's not good.
what you represent.
I have stumped Kyle Orr on a smart comeback.
That
didn't happen very much.
I was
folks.
thinking more on the line of Teletubby, but
Teletubby.
yeah,
You've been watching too many kids shows.
that's what a 2-year-old will do to you. What you got going on over there?
Well, that's my pops. Another text from my pops. Hello, pops.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's going on? It's been a while since we've been on our little podcast. We've had a lot of things going on. So probably need to update everybody as far as we are very proud of our buddy Kyle Orr. He has been baptized.
Walking the line.
That happened Saturday night. You know, that was a great event. And I haven't told him this, but we actually have an appointment this afternoon with Father for confession already for him. I knew it was going to happen, and I've already counted the sins.
Walking the line.
So
I'm walking the straight and narrow.
Yeah, that's what you want to call it.
As straight as you can. As straight.
So I got. So is it? So I call you Kyle Padre or Padre Kyle or Padre Pio Kyle?
It should be Kyle Pio. Daniel
Kyle Pio. Daniel Orr. We'll have to come up with a.
You notice how Father kind of gasped a little bit whenever he noticed that what my saint name was.
No, I didn't notice that.
He hesitated a little bit.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
And I looked up at him, and he started smiling. I was like, "Oh gosh."
Yeah. So when you got confirmed, right? You know, so mine was a little bit different. I had the bishop confirm me, right? So you got confirmed from him, but you know, you have to say that saying or whatever like that. And I was kneeling. I was on both knees or whatever because he's sitting in his chair. He wasn't standing. And I went completely blank. I've told you the whole story. I was starstruck. I was like, right. I got all these kids around. I'm the only adult, and I'm the one that gets stage fright, I guess. But
Right.
anyway, that was a pretty powerful event. That was pretty neat.
Yeah.
That was neat at the. We were down at the Catholic Student Center down in MSU. That was a neat facility. That's the first time I've ever been there. That's a nice facility.
Yeah. Cool.
So that was kind of cool.
Really cool. I like the history inside, the history that they've got displayed inside the, I guess you call it a cathedral there?
No.
What are they?
That would be a chapel.
Just a
I
chapel?
believe a chapel. I could be wrong, but I think it's a chapel. You have a chapel, the basilica. You have the basilica, which is
I think
the
a basilica is
then
the
the
largest,
cathedral,
right?
and then you have you have a chapel. A church. I don't know. That's something we'll have to do some research on. Boy, did you hear that?
But it's really.
Man, just do that again. I mean, you could actually hear him drink
We need to
the soda.
We're taking a brief pause, folks. This is a Dr. Pepper.
Here's what he did. Slurpee, slurpee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh? We're back. We're back. So anyway, but no, that was neat. So, and Sophia did a great job. I think she did a wonderful job. She's such a nice lady.
Her and her mother.
Yep. Very, very,
job.
very reverend, very nice. They're nice, neat people. And you did give them their present, right?
Not yet.
See, I set them up. I want you to know, Sophia, I said, hey, you really should probably bring them something and tell them thank you before this, right?
Well,
But he wanted to wait because he didn't get it yet, right?
no.
Right?
No. I know her well enough that if I would have given that to her that night, it probably would have been because she wanted that night to be about all of us, right?
Sure.
And we've got 4 more classes, so I figured by the towards the last
Yeah, you
class.
show everybody up at class. That's what you do. I know what
No,
he's
no,
doing.
no, no.
I know what he's doing.
No.
He's going to pull up in a brand new car and have a bow on it for both of you. I know
Yeah.
what he's doing.
And I think there's some other people in that class that are,
Sure.
moving towards that same thing. So it's a great group of people. I mean, there's 17 people in there that, of all ages. So it's pretty good experience when you have a diverse group like that.
Now it's about
You hear all aspects of life, right? So
you've gone to the first leg of the journey. Now it's the hard part.
well, you're on track now. You got to stay on track, right?
You got to be committed and you got to stay consistent and
Yeah.
be disciplined and
As in anything else you do, right?
well, this one probably means more than anything else.
Well, yeah. I mean,
know,
you're
it's-
talking about
Yeah.
your future after life as you know it,
Or during
right?
too. So let's talk about car business stuff a little bit. So it's been we're going into the big time months here. It's kind of we're in spring right
Selling
now.
season,
Yeah, we're about to hit the big months. We've done better. We've had some good success with some things. We've had some distractions that have kind of kept us a little bit. I guess not growing as much as we thought we would at this point.
I don't know if it's not growing as much as we thought, but probably because we're still growing, right? Just probably not at the speed that we want it.
Well, there's a lot of things that we found that you've got to pay attention to, even more so. I mean, you got to pay attention to it anyway, but you got to pay attention to it even more the more that you sell. You got to dial it in even more. I mean, you got to look at your expenses even more. You got to look at
But what you can, for people that are out there on business, it's or starting their own business, there's something you learn every day, right? And every day you can find newer, even better, maybe more cost-effective ways of running your operation.
Yeah.
That to the open eye of somebody walking in, they don't feel that change at all.
right.
But you can certainly reap the benefits of doing that. And I think that happens a lot with companies, right? They get settled on one way of doing business, right? They don't adapt to the modern times of how to do stuff. And then by the time they're like, hey, man, that worked for these guys, there's already something new out.
Right.
Right. And so you always got to, I mean, that's one thing we learned early on in the car business, right? You've got to keep up with what's going on. And a lot of people do things their way just because they're like, this is how I want to run it. And that's good to a certain extent. But if you don't adapt to who your clients are and give them what you want, then you'll just become a stale business.
Right. 100%. People.
So we've met a lot of interesting people, even this year, just it's crazy to me some of the conversations I've had, just with people walking in, new customers and clients. So been pretty cool experience. So, and we got a good little group of guys here working here, right? Finally kind of dialed it down to what I would consider the core guys. So everybody has their own little role and it's working. So started our detailing division. So
It is a division.
So I call it a division. Or a department. I don't like department because it's such a small place.
It's just we have the ability to detail cars now.
Yeah.
So we've learned quite a bit. I used to do that a little bit with back in the day when I was 17, 18 years old at Team Motorsports here in town. That's kind of how I got acclimated to the car business, right? And then,
Yep.
golly, how long ago was that? That was 40 years ago. 35 years ago.
Brecken
So-
wasn't even born yet.
No, born or have kids, or he wasn't born 15 years.
You probably weren't even a thought.
No, well, I mean, 15. How old are your parents? So they're still in school.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in college, or just out of high school, roughly right around there. They didn't even know each other probably then, did they?
I doubt it.
Right. So, isn't that crazy?
30 years ago?
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? It's just nuts. But yeah, so and then with your experience and stuff, we kind of dove into it, and it kind of brought back a little bit more of a passion as far as it's fun taking a used car or a car, and then it's dirty and stuff, and then all of a sudden you spend some time on it and you turn it into a diamond. I mean, it just looks good. You kind of change some things up, fix this, fix that. We ceramic coat all of our cars now, so every car that you buy from us has a ceramic coating on it. We don't charge you for that. And it's been helping. Yeah, it's a 1-year coating is what we're doing, and it's pretty. It's cleaning the cars, going through, making sure we touch up with what we can and stuff like that. It's really helped out with sales. So
Yeah, it's when you're doing that on your own, you start to take pride in what you've got, right? And
I've already had pride, buddy. We own it.
well, no, but I'm talking for the whole team as one place here.
Well, I tell you, ever since we've been cleaning cars, I've noticed you've taken pride in cleaning yourself, and we were worried about that. And you really look a lot better than what you used to.
I appreciate that.
You gained some weight. I think you've gained what I lost.
I have gained what you've lost.
Right. So really, we need to start calling him the Little Walrus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kyle, the Little Walrus, or P.O. I got the P.O. in there, sir.
That's we did. The other thing that helped us out with detailing is there's a company just right down the road from us, and
Those
excellent,
guys are great. Mm-hmm.
excellent customer service. I mean, that's top notch. It's a lot different than
Well, you're the small businesses drive so much of the economy. People don't realize that because they spend their money local. The money stays local, right? And then you employ people local. So and then you build relationships with local businesses to help build your business. And and they give you better customer service because in my opinion, because it's more one-on-one with the people that own the store or run the store or all that type of stuff like that. So it's been, it's been fun. I mean, we're slowly, we're building this to a newer level, but I think we need to stay smaller, more attention to detail, better customer service, do things that are innovative, that are different than everybody else. We can compete.
Yeah.
So it's make it easier for the consumer, make it easier for the employees, make it easier to do business basically in all aspects of it, whether that's, doing stuff online. And, I'll give you an example. Last night I was on Facebook and I saw one of the big stores, they did a delivery and they're like, hey, we took the paperwork to them and we're all excited about, we delivered it in their garage. And I'm sitting there going, paperwork, what paperwork? I mean, anymore, you shouldn't really have paperwork. It should be all digital. I mean, and you just do it and then you deliver the car. I mean,
It's good for them to embrace that, but that's not. I mean, that doesn't make them unique. There's a lot of people out there that have been doing that for a long time, And
we've been doing digital. Have we printed one contract since we've been open? Maybe one because the computer was down.
I can think maybe of one, maybe
for 2 years. So since 2023, we've been doing
all electronic.
And we're small.
And it goes to their email and.
Yeah, and they love it, and they're in and out quick, and They love it. We haven't had too many people. We haven't had anybody really. Nobody's complained about it.
No, they like it. They understand it. It's a good place for them to go back and reference it.
It's virtual finance and insurance. Virtual business office. So that's where it's going. 10 years from now, you're not going to have
finance.
It's going to be all virtual. I mean, you're going to be. That's my opinion. I think you'll still have. Hey, people like to touch and feel a car, smell it, and okay, hey, this is pretty neat. But I think they also want to speed the process up. It should not take you 4 hours to buy a car, ever. You shouldn't have to wait 2 hours to get in the business office to sign your paperwork. I don't care how busy you are. It shouldn't be. It should be, hey, you sign, you go. I mean, it should be you agree to the deal, it's done, let's get it written up, let's rock and roll.
And here's the thing. I look at some of the deals that we've done just here lately. It's not just in Dixon, right? We've got people buying cars.
You sold a car to a guy
from Florida, Vero Beach, Florida. We've got. That
was a $67,000 automobile.
Yeah, we got people that are buying, that are out of Oklahoma, Arkansas. Of course, those are kind of close. Got one we're working right now out of Iowa.
Don't forget about the deal you did in Alaska, the guy on the plane.
Yeah. It's crazy to me. And so when I look back, because there's, millions of cars everywhere in the United States. So it cracks me up that somebody from Florida finds a little old place in Nixon, Missouri, right, to do business with.
Well, it's the car.
Right.
If you think about that car.
But you're going to tell me I get that, right? And people they don't know the background of that, but just outside looking in, right? There's a lot of Tundras, 1794 Tundras from Vero Beach
the
to
pictures
Nixon, Missouri.
Think about it. The pictures were right. The car was clean. We had a great story about it. The description was, and this is for people that want to get better at this.
And he financed with a local bank here.
Yeah, he financed with us here. We secured all that with this, tax and all that type stuff. We got the lien filed. Everything that was done, and we did it and got funded in the same day.
Yeah.
And within 24 hours, same day, 24 hours. So these big corporate stores, which we were a part of, haven't got it figured out yet because they're all looking at they're looking at the bottom line instead of the customer service, and the bottom line would grow.
And I remember going into those meetings, and you'd have CIT lists and that's contracts in transit, right? That hadn't been paid
for 40.
They've been in millions for months.
Yeah, that's just taking your eye that.
And what's an F&I manager make on average? Probably 150 to 200,000 in Springfield area.
Oh, I'd say probably 200.
Yeah. So you got 6 of these guys running around, right?
That expense, I'm gonna tell you right now, this virtual F&I, that deal will be gone. You will not have that. That's your big that department produces.
You think about $800,000
a month,
a year. $800,000 a year
just on the producer
for a guy to wait to get a deal funded for 4 months.
Yeah. So so in my opinion, that's the general manager not pushing hard enough. That's the general sales manager not pushing hard enough, and that's the finance director not pushing hard enough to make sure the processes are in place enough to where they know it, to where, hey, you know what, we're going to get funded. They should be able to get funded quicker than us because they're bigger. They're a bigger bank. They're a bigger store. That deal should be funded within a day. There's no reason. But see, a lot of those companies, what do? They're not doing the econ, right? So they're still doing the paper contracts, which you can have mistakes on. And with the econ, there's no mistakes because it tells you where to sign.
Well, it doesn't let you move to the next.
And you disclose everything.
Yeah.
There's no
hiding around.
There's no hiding around. So you're right. There's no, hey, you're not telling them that they got a warranty or whatever they're doing. And I'm not saying everybody does that, but that happens with them. But you can't do that on econ. So that's if they would focus on customer service, I think at those bigger stores a lot more, boy, I'd be amazed. You wouldn't need all these small.
And I
deals.
get, okay, we've had some challenges on a small scale here. I mean, some of the out of state stuff takes a little longer to get funded, but it doesn't take 4 months.
Well, the problem we've had a lot of is the titles.
Well, it's either titles or, like, let's see, what was it for the state of Kansas? I had to sign up for their programming, right? So that's
For lean perfection.
So that took a couple days, a few days there. And here's the other thing. Those big banks, like your Westlakes and stuff, they have exceptions for they actually you're held more accountable on an independent level of getting that done than you are on a corporate level. Because they go ahead and fund their deals. Like they get leeway on 30 days to have the lien filed because of the amount of business that they're doing. Versus we don't get paid until we have the lien filed, right? I think if they went to that and held everybody at the same standard and treat everybody the same there, you'll see a big difference in the big corporate stores because they want their money.
There's probably some corporate stores out there that are doing stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of business out there. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of cars. So, but that's been. I mean, we're heading in the right direction. We're doing some things. So,
yep. Got a the cheaper cars that had been detailed. I mean, people are just they love them, And I was looking at that Ford the other day. I'm like, man, that probably is the nicest.
The Ford Fusion.
Yeah, $5,000 car I've seen in Springfield.
Yeah. You mean $38,995
or $38, depending on who you buy it from.
Right.
The true price on it was $56.50, but
yeah, we're working on that.
Somebody likes to do the old discount.
Discount. What was
Double
Aaron Rodgers?
check.
Double check discount.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's struggling to find a job right now. Nobody wants to hire his little mouthy, you know what? The guy's got too much of a head on him, I think. And he hasn't played well.
Yeah.
I'd take Kirk Cousins right now over Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers has really done anything extravagant in a couple years.
No.
Other than going on a mental sabbatical.
Yeah, he goes in those caves and turns lights off. Hangs out for a little while. Comes out and starts telling everybody, I feel good. He's a strange one. He's a strange one. So, yeah, that's speaking of that, today's Wednesday, right? So we have the draft tomorrow. So are your Bengals?
Does it start tomorrow?
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it started.
Thursday.
Is it not in May?
No, it's in April. It's always been in April.
See,
that's the difference, folks, right there. That's the difference between a championship caliber team and then the Cincinnati Bengals, because we're on top of it even in the offseason. And that would be the Chiefs, even though they lost the Super Bowl, and they did. But they're revamping again to
You're
come
still
back.
calling that a loss?
Yes. An L's an L. Doesn't matter it doesn't matter what the score is.
That's a
You can't say anything. You weren't even close to being in the playoffs.
That's a pretty
You weren't even in the playoffs.
that loss.
You should be playoffs. Playoffs.
That
What's
loss
that word?
That's a pretty mild way of putting it.
Yeah.
That was a good old fashioned
Loss.
butt whooping.
Doesn't matter. It's still a loss.
All I hope is that Patrick Mahomes plays as good as he did in the Super Bowl this year.
He had a rough game. But you know what champions do, buddy?
That's probably the worst game I've seen him play.
Yeah, I think I saw some photos of him. He is in shape. I don't know what
sure he is.
he's got him. They teased him all year about him not being in shape. He's in shape. So that'll be interesting to see how that handles. I think he's a little miffed. But that's what happens. I mean, you get on top and you can get knocked off pretty quick. Everybody's looking. I mean, when you're number one, they're always you're always getting looked at from everybody else and knock you off your pedestal, and that's what happened. And that's what's great about sports or anything. You like that competitive nature. So then you got to come back and say, okay, it's kind of like the Rocky effect, right? You get knocked down, and you're going to come back up and beat that Russian, hit him in the face.
In all reality, though, I've gotten to where, excuse me.
Wow.
Edit that out.
Jeez.
I've got-
No, you got to keep that one.
That
That one's going on a. You got to put that on a little bit of a
A
reel.
remix.
Yeah, something.
real.
Whatever.
I've gotten where those sports with
Make it a
with all
rap song.
with all the political stuff that's wrapped around in sports right now. I mean, it is just. I hate watching it.
Hey, I love what Tennessee did. With the quarterback kid. So the kid signs a deal for the NIL, signs his contract, and decides he's going to sit out the next year because he wants more money. So they cut him. I said, "See ya." And now he's playing he wanted $4 million, right? So now he's at UCLA for $400,000 or something's just stupid. Maybe it's $900,000. Something not even remotely close because the kid.
Oh, for the money.
Yeah, for the money, because and that should happen. I mean, you sign a contract, honor the contract, and let's go. I mean, that's the way it is. You signed it. That's
See,
great.
that was a good thing that they did with the NIL stuff, but then there's there's people out there that are abusing it. Like, hey, and will the kid ever go pro? We don't. I mean, nobody knows.
He's going to go pro. That kid's pretty good.
Well, maybe, or he could get his leg broke this year.
He could, but that can. Joe Theismann got his leg broke. He came back.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. He didn't come back. That'd be Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Joe Theismann, I don't think he ever came back. I think LT laid him out.
But it's just that arrogance behind that with doing it for the money. I mean, I think it's taken away. Some of that's taken away from the actual team environment.
Well, I will tell you though, it has made the sports more competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's spread out now. I mean, and that's good. That's what they wanted. They wanted other teams to be able to come in and be able to compete. But here's what's going to happen. Here's what's crazy. And I'm a Notre Dame fan, right? Notre Dame is an independent. Now, you're going to probably start seeing this more, but because they're independent, when they win a bowl game, guess what they get to keep? They get to keep all the money from the bowl game versus the other teams. Like if you're in the SEC and you win it, it gets spread out between all the teams because you're from the SEC. So when they beat Penn State, right, they got something like, I think, $14 to $16 million. They got to keep all that. Well, they can use all that money for nil. They can, then they have the boosters and stuff. Well, this year, now they've got the number one rated recruiting team in the nation because they're signing all these commits now are coming to Notre Dame that we're going to go to Georgia and stuff like that. So if they continue to win and they continue to stay independent, and then they could, I think their NBC contract might be up. They had a massive NBC contract. They got paid multi-millions of dollars that they don't have to split that with anybody. So they can keep all that, and then they can make that, it's gonna, that's the advantage that they're gonna have over everybody else. And they've got one heck of a coach, I think. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and if they're gonna change the rules and say, okay, hey, if you're, of course, Notre Dame's got a lot of power, right? So if they change the rules and say you have to be in a conference, to be able to spread that, does Notre Dame, I don't know. I mean, it's going to evolve into some different things because it's all money related, business related. And if Notre Dame let's say Notre Dame goes on a run like Alabama did for a few years because they have all the money. I'm not saying those, they get boosters to come in and pay, but when you start winning bowl games and you just start getting $15 million, $20 million, then you get a TV contract for, $800 million, that's hard to compete with.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what the rules are. And I don't know the rules and all that stuff, but it'll, they cut their. I mean, think about this. Notre Dame goes into the spring practice, and the starting quarterback that came in the championship, I think it was a championship game, maybe it was Penn State, when their starting quarterback got hurt and that was their backup. This year, goes in the spring game and is now third string and leaves the team. I mean, this guy was playing. He played in a bowl game last year,
Right.
and now he's off the team and is going someplace else because they brought in or they two quarterbacks that they feel that are better than what he is to give him a better chance to win. So it'll be and the other thing is the coaches. You're going to see a coaching carousel a lot too because they're going to pay the coaches more to be. The whole thing with that thing's going to be about recruiting.
But here's the thing: we should talk about a sport that you can't be bought on. Golf.
Well, you can be bought on golf.
Who are you gonna get bought by?
You can Nike.
But is Nike?
You don't think those guys that play well that they can shank a game or make a game? I mean, they can do that. There ain't a sport. There's not a sport. I would say the only sport
pickleball
that you can cheat. I mean, any of it. I mean, there's. I'd say the only.
Hey, when are you going to pick up pickleball? By the way, you've talked about it a few times.
I have 2 paddles, balls in my car. We can walk across the street and play if we want.
I'm not there yet.
I want to see him in a pickleball outfit.
Oh, I'll have one.
Tight green shirt.
Oh no! I'll take my shirt off. It'll be nice. Then the park ranger will come by and say, "Ma'am, please put on a bra." Hey, wait a minute. I'm a sir. Okay.
Well, so what team? What sport can't be thrown?
The sport of love, Kyle. The sport of love. I don't know. I think any one of them can. Anybody can throw a game. Anybody can throw golf. I mean, anybody can do anything on the sports. What? I mean, seriously. I mean.
Well, you just think about. I
mean, you could.
The Masters was just won by Rory, right? And I watched it twice now. His documentary. I think it's on either Netflix or YouTube. But just what he overcome. I mean, a lot of people don't understand like how much work he's actually put in to doing that, and he's been so close to winning that thing. I mean, so many times, and fell short. Right, and the mental game.
But who's to say the multi-trillion-dollar betting society didn't go to some of the other players and say, "Hey, they could do that." I'm not saying they're doing that. I mean,
right.
But they have enough money to where they can pay, with that stuff that they can pay those players. Hey, we're going to pay it, this, miss that shot.
Turn around and hit it at the crowd.
Yeah, or something. I mean, but you know what I'm saying? So it's just, you never know. That's what's bad because you don't know. It's just like NFL. I started questioning, I'm like, man, maybe this thing's fixed. I mean, you're looking at some of this stuff and you're like going, it's like I watched in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, their play calling was so off from anything that they've done all year. It wasn't even remotely even close. I'm like,
yeah,
they didn't do a screen. I'm like, well, that's Andy Reid's number one play is a screen. So I'm saying, well, maybe this thing is.
I didn't see any of the referees really getting involved in the game like they had, in the previous.
I don't know. Huh? I don't know. I mean, you don't know. I mean, you don't know if that whole thing's a setup. I mean, the guys that are star receivers that cry on a play because they get hit or something. You've got one on your team. It just stuff like that.
Sure.
You don't know if that's an act for. Could that be an act because they're supposed to do that or it's played out? It's kind of like wrestling, right? Somebody was telling me wrestling
sometimes it gets a little WWF.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's so fake. You don't know. I mean, you're like, okay, this is just ridiculous. Guy runs out of the stands, hits a guy with a chair in the back of the head, and he just falls down, then gets up and he does the Hulkamania and he takes you down or whatever it is. It's just for entertainment. And if you go back to go back to the gladiators and stuff, I mean, that probably wasn't fake. You either die or you live.
Yeah, no, that was real.
That was probably, all right, you're going to die or live. Well, I'll pay you this for your, but you never know. Hey, if you die right now, your family gets to live. I mean, you don't never know. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it's just nuts. So I don't think there's a sport out there, that I could think of that.
Boxing?
No, come on. Yeah, so we would. I told you that. So we go to a boxing match or whatever, and they're out there mouthing like they hate each other and they're knocking everybody. The guy gets knocked out, and 30 minutes later or an hour later, we're at a bar or whatever, and those two, the boxers, are hanging out taking shots together. I'm going, okay. I mean, you know, that's, and you know, their promoters are with them. I'm like, this stuff's so fake.
You can thank Don King for that.
Yeah, that was one of them. That was one of his fighters.
Oh, really?
I got in the ring and I got a picture with old Donnie. Haven't I showed you that? Don King, and it was the fight that we promoted when we were over at Toyota, and I don't think you were there yet, but it was Don King, and was one of the promoters, and that was when Rocker came down. So it was Rocker, Tony, you know, a couple other guys or whatever, and we were in the we got a picture together in the ring. I mean, Mr. Rocker, he's funny. He just jumps in the ring. We're like, we're not supposed to be in the ring. He didn't care. He just jumps in the ring. Now, pretty soon, we're all in the ring. I'm like, I'm in the ring. This is great. Getting photos and stuff.
Like Trump coming out for UFC fights.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. So he's bringing down, you know, these guys are all they're very, very successful, and they're all multi-millionaires, and then you got me. I'm hanging out with them, right? And so they're
Butterbean.
Yeah, we're in the front row. We're in the very first row. Butterbean could knock your butt on the. I mean, that guy had a punch.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're in the front row.
I knew a guy that boxed him.
They keep bringing down shots of tequila, and I'm like, I'm not doing these. So I look over, and Mike Reynolds was next to me, and this is where I kind of got to meet him a little bit. Was he starts doing this? They're all taking their shots. All of a sudden, you see Mike go, you know, he tosses it over his shoulder. I'm like, well, that's a good idea. Right, so I start tossing it over the shoulder. He's like, "Just don't make sure no one sees us do that, right? Because they're all just shot after shot after shot." And I'm like, "I'm not, you know, I don't want to do that." So we're just, "Hey, this is great, yay!" They're cheering. Look at that. Person sitting behind me is probably, you know, you ever seen that Tommy gun? That Tommy?
They're probably sitting there going,
yeah, you ever
maybe
seen?
you guys got the Patron shots.
Yeah, you ever seen that Chris Farley episode on Saturday Night Live where he's in there and he's at the. And the well keeps throwing water on him. He's in the front row. That's probably what they're like. You know, they're getting hit with all this stuff, going, "Oh my God," you know. But but anyway, yeah, that was a good time. But yeah, it's fake. 100%, that's fake.
And then they banned somebody like Pete Rose from being in the Hall of Fame. You know, it just
Because he wanted to make a buck.
It's kind of
I mean,
crazy.
come on, he bet on himself. I'll bet on myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll bet on myself to lose.
In my opinion, he's probably one of the top 5 players to ever play the
And he'll never be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I mean, he's passed away now. They should have let him go in before he passed away. I mean, come on. I mean, they've all, you know, it's like Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa. Yeah, they were on.
Is McGuire banned from it?
No, but they're not going to put him in there because of they had, you know, that era used enhancing.
Isn't that a legal substance now that you can use that now?
I don't know that. I know it was
because he wasn't using just.
It was legal then.
Yeah,
they turned it illegal. It was a performance enhancing deal. It was legal.
It's like creatine.
Yeah, it was legal, and they saved baseball that year. Baseball, and he should. I mean, if we didn't have that, I think baseball.
Yeah, what he hit like 60 some home runs.
Oh, he's in the 70s.
70s.
They remember him and Sammy Sosa.
He broke a record like 4 times in a row in that year.
Yeah, and him and Sammy Sosa were just knocking dinger. I mean, they were in the same game together. I remember, and they both.
And neither one won the home run derby.
No. No, but they saved baseball. I mean, you go to the game and you're a kid, and they're hit. Here's what I don't like about that: you still have to hit the ball,
right?
And you got guys throwing 100 mile an hour at you. You still have to have the eye hand coordination and know where that ball is going to smack that thing.
Not only that, there's a ball and bat placement in order for it to be able to fly that far.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't hit every
Barry Bonds.
You can't hit every ball at the same place on the bat.
I don't think Barry Bonds is in the Hall of Fame.
People don't understand that. Like if you hit it down inside of the bat, it isn't going to go as far.
No.
Regardless what the pitch is. No. So there's still talent there.
No, but it's I disagree with what they're doing there. Now that was a fun year. I mean, that was fun watching baseball. That was fun watching what they were doing.
Yeah, I loved baseball growing up and watching it, especially, it's fun to do that. There was a lot of great teams, For me, I watched guys like Cal Ripken and Ken Griffey Jr., all of that era. Those were all
How about Nolan Ryan when he
Nolan Ryan.
when he threw that ball and the guy tried to he ran the mound and tried to fight him. He just knocked the crap out. You don't see that stuff anymore,
Right.
know. But it's
and then when they went on strike, I kind of distanced myself from it, and then they went on strike second time, and I stopped watching it. And then
well, now you're seeing contracts for $700 million. I mean, I don't care how much money they make. I really don't. I think if they don't need to be charged, and right now to go to a Chiefs game, it's something crazy. I mean,
so this kind of ties into this deal, but so I read an article last night about the Pope, and I think it was something about see what the Pope Francis net worth was. What do you think it was?
nothing.
They estimate it to be somewhere around $100.
Yeah, they take a vow of poverty.
So
He might have. Yeah, he doesn't. They don't. That's what people don't understand. Is that
and then you got guys out here. Not only that.
Well, you go by
right,
that
you get
church
these
on.
guys
Look
get
at the
$700 million, and then
the
they
church.
go out.
If you go look at the church, I could be wrong. So just that church on James River. Go by and look at what house he's in.
Oh yeah,
It's
I
like
get that.
it's a freaking mansion, right? Now, the Pope lives at the Vatican, which is nice, the Sistine Chapel and stuff. But that's history. Been there 2,000 years.
Well, they said his
or whatever.
room
I
was
don't know
very
how.
modest too. They said he
Well,
lived.
look, he wanted to be. You know what he's buried in? So you. I mean, there's traditions that they have, but he requested just to have a wooden box. I just want to
and
be
then
buried in a wooden box.
he never really had an automobile either.
No. I mean, there's things that they drove that protect them. And yes, we donate money to stuff, and they have artifacts down there that are priceless. I mean, I would love to be able to go down below. I mean, wherever they have them, I'm assuming it's down below the Vatican, and see history. See some of that priceless, stuff. They said I was watching a deal where they had. We all think about the thorns of Christ were just this round band, and that's not the case. They have they did this. They said the thorn of down there, the thorn of Christ was a ball, right? And they redid them, and the thorns are
Almost 9 inches long.
yeah, they're stupid long, and they said and then they hammered it into his head.
Yeah.
That a normal human being couldn't take the pain. I mean, we just wouldn't be able to go through that. And then you saw that, the Shroud of Turin, I think it's Turin is how you say it. They did that image of, okay, hey, that's, they did a 3D image of that, I think, and they're showing how his wounds, what his wounds look like, and they're so deep.
Didn't they use AI or something?
It's so deep that a human couldn't do it. I mean, we just couldn't do it, and and it's just so the pain that he went through, not only in the crucifixion and what he did, but the pain and the could you imagine watching that or being there and seeing that? I mean, it would just bring you to tears. I mean, you just going through that, and knowing
but
what he did for us.
But kind of relating into those big heavy contracts like that, right? It's like you pay these guys all this. They pay these guys all this money, and they become idiots, right? I mean, you see all these guys a lot of them getting big contracts.
Well, look at LeBron James.
I mean, yeah.
In the beginning of his career, he was I mean, he was talented, but he was humbled. He was smart. I think he went to see Warren Buffett first. How do I invest my money? Knowing that he was going to make a ton of money. So he stayed out of politics. He stayed out of, he went out there and
He's no
and played.
Shaquille
But
O'Neal.
then what happened? Then you started seeing him, hey, I can't win in Cleveland. by myself, right? So he leaves because he was getting paid all this money, right? This is the difference between him and Michael Jordan. So then he leaves. He goes to another team. Then that team puts some people around him, and then he leaves. That team goes to another team. Then he goes to another team. You know what I'm saying? You know, Michael Jordan didn't take. You know, he got paid, but he didn't take the kind of contract that would hurt the team from him. You know, from winning championships. And had he not left for 3 years, I think they would have won 9 in a row.
Well, there needs to be a humbleness across most sport platforms. I mean,
Well, the money's going to
and the problem is so when you see this and they advertise that, right? What's the rest of the world? You know, these guys become role models for people, right?
Well, they forget that though.
And what's the rest of the world think? You know, about the sport. Are you doing it for the sport and the competitiveness, or now are you doing it for a paycheck, right?
Do it for the paycheck.
And I get that people need money to live, but $700 million.
Well, look at the contracts they're getting from endorsements.
I mean, there's countries in the world that don't even survive on that. You know what I mean?
I think one of the reasons that, and I know we go back to the Chiefs. The reason the Chiefs are up there and competitive every
Well, they
year,
did the right thing. Their players did the right thing.
They keep changing their pay to go down in order to try to keep players, you know, keep more of the talent around, so they're competitive every year.
And if you notice, they've been able to overcome some obstacles of people getting hurt throughout the season, because it's not foreseen if you're going to get hurt, right? You know, being able to bring Kareem Hunt back, I think, was a great deal. You know.
Well, there's a guy. I'm going to tell you about the Hunt family,
and he's humble. He's humbled himself.
He had to. The Hunt family is very Christian, right?
Yeah.
They're very strong in their faith. I think the daughter, who was Miss Kansas or whatever, she comes out the model or whatever. She comes out and she recites a Bible verse live before every game, you know, and does a deal there, which is kind of cool. But so for him to do what he did with that girl, and then for the team to have him come back, he had to go through some steps. And I don't know this for a fact because they're very conservative, I think, as far as what they don't talk about that stuff. But I'm sure the Chiefs did their due diligence, and he had to come back and talk to Mr. Hunt about that, what happened, what he learned from that, and they had to see him be humbled enough to say, "Hey, we'll let you back on because of what he did." Well, that's the great thing about Christianity, is about forgiveness and getting another chance. You know, God gives us, Jesus. You know, when we get chances. Well, they did that to him, and he produced. He came in and produced. We didn't get the win, but they just re-signed him again, right?
But you didn't win the Super Bowl, but he was definitely an intricate piece of
100%.
getting you there.
I mean, 100%. I mean, it was
because the last 2 games he played was probably
good.
some of his best games.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, so I watched
even if the stats weren't just there, he was playing from the heart.
I watched a video it was with John Gruden and a quarterback on ESPN.
By the way, don't anybody ever tell my wife that I bragged on the Chiefs.
She didn't watch her show anyway. So I watched John Gruden right now is interviewing these college quarterbacks and stuff. It's pretty cool and neat. And he's kind of sitting down. You're seeing clips where he's like, "Hey, I want you to do this, repeat it, and say this." And this kid that he just had on there, I don't remember what school it was, but he's talking to him about, well, let's talk about your college career, because he's about to go in the draft. And he goes, "Hey, man," John Gruden's like, "Yeah, those first 3 games, you were killing it, man. You were just killing it." And then comes the 4th game. And the kid goes, "So tell me about it." He goes, "Yeah, I was in a dark place at that time." So I'll have to dive in to find out what happened. But from just listening to the interview, the kid,
I don't know what that is.
I don't either. We'll have to look at that. But anyway, he went through. He must have gotten hurt, or got hit, or did something, got suspended. Something majorly happened to this kid, right? And that was, I think, his freshman year or something like that. So he went through all this stuff. The kid talked about it. He goes, I had to go through all that adversity that I did, knowing I was a kid. I was a punk kid. And I made punk decisions. And he goes, but I needed to go through that to grow up and to be who I am today. And thank God I was around the right people, the right coaches. My family helped me get through those dark places, and I learned a lot. And the one thing is, I never quit. I didn't quit football. I mean, I went through some tough times and stuff, but I didn't quit football. I worked my tail off, and I came back, and now I'm, hopefully I'm going to be drafted in the NFL, which is one of my dreams. But he goes, sometimes I think you have to hit rock bottom to appreciate when you get to the top.
Right.
Or get to the top. And, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's what makes a lot of businesses and people, you got to go through the bad times to even get to the good times.
Really appreciate the good times. Yeah.
So I think that's a great thing about sports. Teaches you how to lose. Mm-hmm. And you got to lose. You got to learn how to lose, and you got to learn how to lose respectfully.
Yeah.
And then work harder to be able to be more consistent on winning.
100%.
Brecken, he loses all the time to his sister riding his bike, and I get it. He struggles with that. And he goes out and buys all these different types of motorcycles just to try to beat her, but he just can't do it.
Yeah.
I told him, I said, why don't you get out of the women's league and start racing men? Maybe then you can beat them.
Well, she's highly motivated and practices and determined. And,
well, she's older, right?
Yeah. He has other things on his mind.
New Mexico, here I go.
Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Albuquerque.
We're never going to be singers. I think the next podcast we need to do is we need to use that AI singing deal. We'll sing like some opera deal and completely change our voices to singing opera. I think that'd be great. All right.
Well, it is time for us to go back to work and enjoy.
This is work, Kyle.
Well, it is, but
we are working right now.
We got pertinent things to do, and we got a guy over here doing one of these deals. So
he's like, my sister's lapped me again. He's lapped me again. Yeah. I know. I get it.
But
all right,
everybody go out and enjoy their weekend, and then we'll be back soon, I'm sure.
Yep. God bless to everybody, and happy Easter.
Hopefully we'll be back sooner than we have.
We'll be back in 6 days. You know what? This time, I know it. You're going to be just all over on these shorts because of the comedy. I mean, you're going to be all over it. We're going to be fine. All right. See you guys.